When you say that anxiety has fueled your career in a way that's helped you, what do you mean?
Woo! I think it still happens to me. You know, it's right before anything, right before we go unchopped, right before I have to chop somebody.
Yeah.
I get sweaty palms. I get nervous. I get the leg shake. I think all of my competitions, I would walk into that kitchen thinking, I can't do this. I can't do this, or I need to do this, or how am I going to do this? I just forgot everything. Like the anxiety would just wash over me like a wave.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine now doing those things, those competitions, or even high pressure situations in restaurants, those Saturday night services with 100 people coming in all at the same time, without the anxiety, without the nerves that fueled me through. There's calm in the chaos. Like, I tried to explain this to somebody, and I think that people who work under pressure or have to perform, you don't think of chefs as performing, but when those doors open and the orders first start coming in, it is like a performance. Expediting the cooks to put out the food is like a symphony. You know, and it's like a house of cards. If one thing goes wrong, the whole thing can collapse. And there's chaos in my brain. There's chaos. There's constant thinking. There's multitasking. There's nerves. There's all these things going on. And if it matches on the outside, the chaos, there's calm in it because there's so much focus.
Yeah.
When you're under pressure, you cannot focus on anything else. When you're on stage, you're not thinking about, you know, you got to answer that email. Yes. What are you going to do? You know, you have a podcast guest that just canceled. How am I going to fix it? When am I going to call back that person? You can't think about anything other than what you're doing.
Right.
Laser focus. So I felt like the anxiety drove me to that focus because the fear of failure was the thing that made me laser focused and made me do my craft to perfection, or try to do it to perfection, or make sure everything went the way it was supposed to go, no matter what.
Right.
Literally, if every single cook walked out, if the building was on fire, like I would stand there and continue to make sure that something was going to happen, you know, the responsibility.
Yeah.
So that was my drive always. It still is. It really still is. It's just a little bit different.
I think the high pressure situation causes you to be present in a way, like, because anxiety, like I'm so anxious, and anxiety means like I'm not present a lot of the time because I'm always worried about what's going to go wrong.
Yes.
And so like the high pressure situation of like being on stage or performing or working in a kitchen is like you have to be present. So it's like the only time of the day that you're not anxious.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I think anybody who's listening who does suffer with anxiety can probably relate to that.
Yeah.
Because the anticipation of going on stage or cooking for a big event or speaking in front of people is so much worse than actually doing it.
Yeah. 100%.
You know, and that's kind of the definition of anxiety, right? Is like you're worrying about something that's not real.
Yes.
Right? You're creating a scenario. It's future worry.
Yeah.
And in the doing is where the calm comes for me. And so it really has helped me. I know it sounds crazy. And I know anybody who's going through it right now might think, I just wish I didn't have this anxiety.
Right.
And I wish I didn't. But at the same time, I've gotten to a point in my life where I'm older now and I realize, well, I don't know what I would have been like without it.
Same.
Right?
Yeah. And I think there's a power too in knowing that like failure, like in my experience, like failure on stage, having a bad set is actually better than the anxiety I feel about having a bad set. So it's like that gives you power and that makes you a better performer and that makes it all like comes together in a way. Like you realize that the worst case scenario is not as bad as the anxiety that you deal with before.
It's so true. It really is, because the worst thing that could happen is just never as bad as what you could imagine.
Right.
Or what you put yourself through.
Yeah. Yeah.
At that moment, you know? And so it's fueled me. I mean, yes, I would like to live without it a little
Right.
bit.
It would be nice.
Yeah. And I've lost more competitions than I've ever won.
Right.
You know, so yes, I've learned a lot from the failures.
That's normal, I think.
Maybe. I don't know. You know, I've had a lot of people beat me at very crucial moments, you know, and things that could have been career changing, total life changing, career changing moments, and I've lost.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, wow, like sliding door moments. Like, what would it have been like in an alternate universe if I had become an Iron Chef, right?
Mm.
If I had beat Alex Guarnaschelli and became an Iron Chef, would that have changed my path in a different way?
Right.
You know, if I had won like $50,000 on Tournament of Champions, I was 1 point away. Like, what does that change for you? You know, like, or am I fine now? Am I happier without all of that? You know, sometimes maybe you're happier with what you have, you know, and maybe that's why that happens. So it's interesting to think about and reckon and just try and be okay with what you have at this moment, you know, and the reason why you have it. And then ask yourself, what do I really want? Did I really want that? Or was it just because I wanted to win?
Yeah, or because like everyone else said that that's what
you want
matters, and that's what is like what validation is, and that's what means that you're good or worthy.
Right. And is that really it? And that's like, I think that's a lifelong question. You know, I'd love to answer it before I die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it's the constant drive of wanting to learn about yourself, about your craft, about, you know, what you want and what that means, you know. And so I look back and I'm like, what would have happened if? I'm like, well, here we are.
Right.
What can I do about it now? Enjoy where I am.